All right, welcome to We Are Something Else presents Smoke and Spiel. It's your boy Kaleo. There's my man Big Mike. We are back. Mike, what's good, bro?
Hey man, hey man, I'm just living the dream, man. When we be anywhere else besides right here, man, shooting, smoking, spill, man. Just enjoying the weekend. It's finally warm out and stuff, so hopefully within the next couple of days, man, I can get back into hiking, man. It's kind of like one of my side hobbies, man. So
I know, right?
I haven't really had a chance to, man. I had work stuff come up. I was like sick for a little bit, man. So, but now, now that the weather's starting to really warm up, man, I'm hoping to get back out there, man, get back in the outdoors, man, and take in some good sights, man, and enjoy
Absolutely.
some nature, man, and also get a good workout in, man. So that's what I got going on.
Yeah, I miss your IG posts or your social media posts about the hikes you've taken. That had kind of motivated me a little during the pandemic to get out there and do outdoor activities because at least hiking. I always do outdoor stuff, but hiking
Mhm.
because I was like, you know what, it's got in a turbulent time where we were unsure about some things, like just a good walk, clearing your mind would be good, And I'll be on the the novice in, right? I've seen some of the trails you've taken, um, to the point where you end up taking these like grand shots at the end of the landscape of
Oh yeah, man. That's what it's all about, man. Getting to the summit, man, and just seeing everything around you, man. But like you said though, man, I got into it, in 2020, man. There was a lot going on, and we really couldn't do much because of the pandemic, But one thing that
right.
was always open was, state and national parks. So I got into it like that, man, and I fell in love with it, man. It was a good way to escape everything that was going on, in the U.S.
Yep.
All the negative headlines and stuff like that, man, that we were seeing, all the social issues going on, man. Which
Mm-hmm.
I definitely have my own views on it and everything, but I think for everybody, man, it was just you just wanted to escape, man, and just find something, man,
Yep.
to kind of clear the mind, man, clear the mind,
Detach,
body, spirit, detach, man, and I found
unplug
that
a
in
little bit.
hiking, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to
Yeah.
just getting back into it, man, because you know, it became a passion, man. So
Let's
that's if I
look, and
can get
I'm a
other people into it,
photographer.
man, definitely.
I'm saying, and I love taking pictures, and then like I seen some of the stuff. I'm like, man, like if I would probably slow down the hike by 3 hours because I'm taking pictures of everything. Like, oh no, that's a good one. Get over there by the tree, Mike. I want to get you there. Um, but then also I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, some of the stuff you had, like, I mean, you got the stick. I mean, you're super serious about it. Do you when you hike, do you have the earbuds in? You listen to music, or are you kind of
Oh
trying to
yeah,
be alert
yeah.
of everything?
I definitely, man. I definitely listen to music, man. I always have the AirPods in,
Mhm.
make sure they're fully charged, man. At least for the first couple of hours, man. And if I know they're about to go out, man, I'll put them back on charge, man, as I'm hiking.
Mhm.
But yeah, music, man, is a must.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I'm still able to kind of stay aware about of what my surroundings and stuff like that as I'm trekking and all that. But it's fairly easy, man, to kind of just like just kind of keep aware of what's around you as you hike, even though you have music going on.
Any wildlife encounters?
Yeah, man, I've seen all types of stuff, man. I've seen bear, I've seen shoot, man, you pretty much name
Snakes, all that
it.
kind of stuff.
Seen spiders, snakes, all types of stuff, man.
Wow.
One I can't remember exactly what park it was, man, but I made it all the way to the top. People up there eating lunch and stuff like that, man. But underneath the rocks, man, were rattlesnakes, man, and like they were. It wasn't just one; it was like a whole freaking like family, man. They were just like you look under the rocks, there was just rattlesnakes just chilling under there, man, and that was enough for me, man. I was like, yo, I don't know how people can just sit there knowing that there's
Ah,
snakes, but like I left, man. I think that had to have been somewhere up in I want to say West Virginia somewhere, man. But
shit.
that was it, man. I was like, man, I know they're not like they're not like on the surface, but just knowing that they were just right there
Yeah,
underneath the rocks, man. I was like, yeah, that's too
they'll
much.
see you coming before you see them coming.
Right, yeah. Honestly, man, I'd rather deal with a bear than a snake, man. Because like black bear, man, like they're not gonna mess with you, man. They just want food or whatever,
Hmm.
and they'll pretty much run away or whatever, But snakes, man, especially
Yep.
venomous snakes, man, I can't do
Yep. Oh my god.
it.
Do they have, before we get going? Do they have like rattlesnake repellent and all that stuff? Do they?
I'm not really sure, man. 'Cause I usually just pack basic like bug repellent and stuff like that. I carry bear mace in certain parks where if you read like reviews before you go, if they say like someone like a week ago said that they spotted a bear, I'll definitely pack actual bear spray just in case. I've never had to use it,
Right.
but as far as like snake
Ah,
repellent, man, I'm not really sure. I really don't.
I got
I've
you.
never put anything on personally, man. Just kind of around like certain rocks and stuff. You just like watch your step, man. The main path of most trails, they've been so well maintained, and people go through there all the time that you really won't see them on the main path. If you
It's when
go
you
off,
veer up.
if you veer off the main course, and that's when you have to really be concerned about any type of wildlife, really, man. Because most parks tell you, hey, just stay on the route, and that's for a reason.
Don't step off the route. All
Yeah.
right, cool. So, for those who are just joining us, last episode 4, we did Todd Rundgren's Something Anything. Hopefully, you guys check that out episode. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. What we're doing here, Smoke and Spill tonight. Episode 5. Oh boy, this is one of my faves. We are doing Scream, the original, 1996. Drew Barrymore, Nev Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Skeet Ulrich, and then there's a few more people in there, but these are the ones. They were on the cover. They were, these are the ones they hyped the movie up about. Yeah. So okay. Let's start with this. If you haven't seen Scream at this point in your life, there are at least 7 or 8 of them in series that have been on MTV and TV. If you don't know anything about it, look, there's gonna be some spoilers. Hopefully, we won't spoil too much of it for you, but there will be some spoilers tonight. But it's a movie worth watching. And if you've never seen Scream, you're watching this first, thank you. And hopefully we'll convince you to go watch Scream. Okay, so let's get going. Scream, 1996, rated R, directed by the great himself, Wes Craven. If you don't know who Wes Craven is, this guy is a jewel. He's a gem for horror movies in the horror land. Like, Wes Craven is top tier when it comes to this stuff. Again,
Mhm.
starring Nev Campbell as Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, David Arquette as Deputy Dewey Riley, Drew Barrymore as Casey Becker, Skeet Ulrich as Billy Loomis, Rose McGowan as Tatum Riley, Matthew Lillard as Stu Marker, Jamie Kennedy, remember him? Jamie Kennedy as Randy Meeks, and the great Roger Jackson as the voice of Ghostface. If you don't know who Roger Jackson is, he is the movies. He's every movie trailer that you probably heard back in the day, with that deep voice trying to lure you into every movie. That's Roger Jackson.
Mhm.
The budget for this movie, $15 million. Box office, 173 million. So this is telling you why, or how big that movie was, and why there's 7 or 8 of them plus series, right? It was released December 20th, 1996. Okay. I don't know where to start because there's so many elements to this. Let's start with the trailer, the movie trailer. If you go to watch the Scream 1996 movie trailer, I don't think it does justice of the movie. I'm looking at it. I looked at it. I was like, this trailer did not age well. The movie did. but the trailer did not age well. And this is just small little intricate things like the trailer, like that trailer is typically what lures people into seeing the movie. And in this case, I don't remember the trailer from '96. I remember seeing it. That's why I looked it up today. I was like, wow, I don't remember this, but it did not age well. Like, this is a horrible trailer. And the trailer doesn't even look scary, but I think Scream was one of those things where it was a word of mouth movie. I think people in my circle had seen it, started talking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely agree. Trying to, when we agreed to review this movie, man, trying to think back about how we found out about it because I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theaters. If I didn't see it in the theaters, we definitely did the whole like blockbuster thing and had invite the cousins over. We were all like watching it in the basement or something, man. But I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theaters, man. Even though it was rated R and I was only like 10, but that's how it was in the '90s, man. And no one really
Exactly. No one cared.
cared about the actual ratings. It was like, oh, we're gonna go see this movie. But I just remember, basically probably just like word of mouth, man. People, kids in school saying, hey, we just saw Scream. It's a good movie. Go see it. And I saw it, man. I was like, and for what it was, man, it was definitely, I think it definitely blew me away just because I guess a lot of scary movies or thrillers around that time, man, they just didn't really hit
Mm-hmm.
like this one hit. You know what I'm saying?
This
And
one reinvented a lot of things.
yeah,
Quick.
because I think the only one, man, around that time that I really liked before Scream was probably I don't know, man, probably Candyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it was just something that
Candyman was deep. That was, yeah.
yeah, and that was deep and that was relatively low budget compared to this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Quick pause for the cause before people start asking. Mike, what are you smoking on tonight?
Tonight, man, I'm smoking on the passion fruit sangria. I was a little optimistic about it before, man, but it's actually kind of strong, man. You know what I'm saying? I think, even though it has like kind of like floral hints to it, which I don't think I'm a fan of, I think the fact that it is kind of strong, man, that it kind of balances everything out. So it's actually,
Yeah.
I don't think I will buy this one again, but the strong hints on it is definitely providing some good pulls, man.
Got you. Yeah, I am. If you watched the last episode, I'm still smoking the summer sorbetto, and we are on the second coal of this. And typically, from what I've seen, you get the second coal. By the second coal, then your flavor palette should be really cranking and heating up by then, and you're getting bigger pulls. And that's where I'm at right now. Still doing me justice. So yeah, no, I'm gonna smoke on that. Enjoy this. Talk Scream. So yes, Scream was, again, it was Candyman. I remember watching Candyman with my mom, and that the first one. It's always the first one that kind of like terrifies you a little bit because it's the first idea, it's the original idea, and
Right.
Candyman definitely, it got me. Because I'm trying to think, was that I think that was the first major black, horror, villain in a horror movie kind of thing, like so I'm trying, outside of like Blackula and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
think Candyman was like the first kind of, kind of got you. But yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
Scream was, I think, it's a pop culture phenomenon. The costume is still popular.
The
The mask is,
costume, man, that's definitely what got everyone like as far as like kids and stuff. I feel like kids back in the '90s really into it because everyone wanted the mask for like Halloween and all this other stuff,
yeah,
and like it kind of helped kind of spread. I probably spread the love into the box office, man. Because it's
yeah,
like, well, hey, let's go see this movie, get the mask and everything, man. It was just part of the whole culture behind the film, I
yeah.
guess.
And it follows your typical slasher movie kind of rules because the killer uses a knife. At certain points, it's a knife. And back then, Michael Myers with the big old, kitchen butcher knife kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Right.
Um, I mean, Freddy with the kind of the nails, the needles, claws, or whatever. Again, penetration by a knife kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you that vibe. But let's start the movie. Let me tell you how I saw it. So the movie was doing. It started getting big, like warning signs. A lot of. I remember people saying, "Don't go see this." Parents, don't take your kids to see this movie. Blah blah blah, and or you must accompany minors must be accompanied by adult when seeing this. Well, I remember we tried to go to see it without an adult, and people were like, "No, we can't let." It was me and my two best friends at the time. We can't let you guys in. You got to have an adult with you. Well, my boy's mom, who was getting the tickets, she's like, "Well, I'm not gonna sit in there and watch it with you." So we kind of did though. Well, what's playing around the same time? Oh, Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx. Oh yeah, we'll go see that instead.
Oh man,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
That's what we're gonna go see instead. We'll go see Rumble in the
Yeah.
Bronx. Oh,
You
that's in
got in.
theater. Yeah, that's in theater 6. Oh, Screams in theater 8. It's around. You know what happened from there. So we damn sure went right in to see Scream, and we were like, because that's when, remember, the movie theater attendant used to come in and walk up and down the aisles, and they would check tickets. I mean, definitely if you looked like you weren't supposed to be in there, and we didn't have an adult, so we went straight to the wall and just like, look, we just kind of ducked down, laid low. All right, boom, we're in the movie theater. But yeah, no, the movie kicks off. And recently said, just watched it again, even though I know it front to back. The movie kicks off, like off the break, you get it. Like the Dimensions, like movie credit pops up, and then we're in it to the phone call ringing, and Drew Barrymore answers the phone, and like we're straight in. Drew Barrymore answers the phone, and it's the voice, and we're playing around. She gets from what I read, I'm gonna drop an Easter egg because this scene is important. This opening scene is meant to pay homage to the opening scene of Wes Craven's favorite movie, When a Stranger Calls.
Oh wow, okay.
Opening scene, phone call, strange voice. But yeah, wrong number kind of thing. So Drew Barrymore, Casey answers the phone. It's a guy who says, he's looking for somebody, wrong number, hangs up the phone. And she's looked like she's setting up for a date night. She's popping popcorn. The movie screen behind her is on that classic VCR blue. Before you pop the tape in,
Right.
That's how you know you got the right channel. You get ready
Right.
to put the tape with a DVD in, and the screen's on blue because it's the auxiliary channel. Boom, phone call comes back. It's the same guy. This time, he's more engaging, and she's entertaining. So they start talking about, scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie? At this point, everybody knows. That's kind of the MO of the killer. What's your favorite scary movie? And they start playing, homage to a lot of these classic horror movies. And, the whole, they even she even brings up why horror movies are dumb, because there's always one dumb blonde, that runs the opposite way and always ends up falling kind of thing.
Right.
So classic horror stuff, right? Anyway, so they're having these conversations, and he lets it be known, like, he asks this question. He asks her, "Do you have a boyfriend?" So, no, she does. That's what she says. No. Okay. So, I can't remember what got them off the phone initially, but then I don't know. That's exactly what it was. He asked her a question, and he was like, "Why?" She was like, "Why?" He was like, "Because I want to know who I'm looking at."
Yeah, man, and it's typical '90s, man. That's watching rewatching it in 2023. I'm like, man, a lot of these movies, man, would have, if it were happening in real life, would have ended within 5 minutes with a cell phone, man. I mean, it's just like,
no call ID back then. No call ID.
Exactly. Think about like Home Alone. You like, Macaulay Culkin getting lost at home. If they would have just had a cell phone, it would have, hey, call Kevin, make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm okay, Mom. That's it.
That's
without all that, without all the technology, man, you know,
None of this
you're supposed to
answers.
answer the phone and figure out, hey, who is this?
Yeah.
Why is he asking
But
me questions? And then all this stuff. So
but now with this AI stuff, you really don't know if it's the real person calling you.
that's true, man. And AI is so it's so new that it's gonna fool a lot of people, man, with a lot of things, man. So
Yeah.
maybe years from now we'll be like, oh man, if they would have known about this with AI, it would have prevented this, or A and B or
Mhm.
whatever. So maybe we're at that stage, man.
So,
So
which is interesting. In Scream 3, they do a play on the AI with the voice because the killer in 3 has a voice replicator where they can do anybody else's voice. That's what made
Mhm.
3 interesting because you didn't know who was really calling.
Right.
Interesting. So we're not getting ahead of the story. Anyways, that's 3. But yeah, so Casey's still engaging until he says, I want to know who I'm looking at. Then she starts to get a little worried, starts to lock the doors, classic stuff or whatever. Um, is he letting up? No, he's not letting up. He calls back. He was like, and so at this point, she's like, you know what? I'm waiting on my boyfriend. He'll be here any minute. Blah blah blah. And the killer is like, oh really? You're not waiting on Steve, are you? And so then it's like the whole like, how'd you know his name? He was like, cuz we got him. Now go to the back door, cut the light on. And Steve is nice and taped up in his varsity jacket. I
Yeah.
was like, Steve ain't helping you nice, sis. And then then from there, that's like, this whole opening scene is developing how they play the rest of the movie's gonna go with this game, right? So the question, if you get the question right, Steve is gonna live. If you get it wrong, oh well, Steve's gonna check out sooner than later, right? So they
Game
hit her
over.
with the sample question, something that everybody knows. What's your horror movie? What's the horror movie with the guy who stalks babysitters? She got that right, or whatever it was, she got the question right. Okay, that was just a warm up question. Now here's the real question. So they hit her with a question. I won't give it away. They hit her with a question. She gets it wrong. Well, sorry, Steve's about to check out. He's not in the game anymore. So she goes, Steve's definitely out the game.
Yeah.
And so now it's her turn. The question, this one I'm going to reveal, and I should have the original question they asked her was, who was the original killer in Friday the 13th? Boom. Okay. Steve's out the game because she got that wrong. It was a trick question. And this one, the question now for her is, if you get this one right, you're going to live. Okay. What door am I at? Oh shit.
Yeah, and when you asked that, man, I was like, oh man, like
Yeah. I put myself back into the original kid that saw this. I'm like, it's a little different. At this point, the popcorn's still popping. Again, she's home alone too. And all these people look like she lives out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. Whatever. What door am I at? He's like, there's a front door. There's 2 main entrances to your house. I'm at one of them. Boom. Next thing you know, like he's in the house. And we're off.
Yeah.
The ultimate chase scene happens. Like, could you have thought of a different way like, this is a strong opening. Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. And I think it was necessary. Like I said, man, like a lot of movies, a lot of scary movies, man, up until that one, man, they were just like so drawn out, man. It took forever, man, just to get to like some action, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
there was a lot of character building, a lot of
a
plot
lot of
building.
character building, and then a lot of character building just to have like a small action scene, maybe towards the end or something like that, and that's it. But this movie, man, I felt like from start to finish, man, there was always something going on, man, and to keep you in
So many
the
side
movie,
stories.
yeah. If it was a side story or whatever, man, I didn't get bored with it. I would say it that way, man. It was just like, just kept me into it the whole time, man. And a lot of movies, a lot of scary movies, a lot of thrillers or slasher films, even from like the 70s through the 80s, man. They would be 3 hours long, man, and have like maybe 10 minutes worth of
Right.
actual action.
Okay. So let's finish. Finish the scene. Okay.
Yeah.
Boom. Killer's in the house. The ultimate chase begins. She leaves out. She leaves out of the house, and then okay, she leaves out of the house, and then there's that classic. Oh, help is on the way. Hope you can. The hope is there. You can see her parents coming down like the road because again, she's out in the middle of nowhere. You see the lights coming. She's going around the house running, and then what I think what's always chilling about horror movies is the music, right?
Yeah. But this one, man, it was you definitely felt it with this one, man. It was just
But
like,
what they did with the chase scene, they slowed it down.
mhm,
I mean, and you get the real feel of the killer on her heels, and he got her. He stabbed her to slow her up,
right.
falls, whatever. She still got the cell phone in her hand, by the way, the house phone, the big cordless. But she gets to the side of the house, like her parents are at the porch coming in. She got stabbed in the windpipe, so she couldn't talk. That was the thing, and she's like, her parents' peripheral vision, you can see her, and she's just like nothing. I'm thinking like, why didn't you clap? Something,
Something,
bang on the
yeah.
house, get
Make
their
some
attention.
noise, man. Yeah.
Something. They go in the house. She's cooked. So you see the killer. I mean, from there, like it becomes like a really like. No, I don't know what. It wasn't gross till parents come out the house. But anyways, they kill her, whatever.
Mhm.
Which, and I'm not, again, if you haven't seen the 96, there's some things we're going to have to give away in order for you to know. But yes, they kill her. Now let's step outside of the Scream world for right now. Let's step into the real world. Drew Barrymore, who's probably the biggest star
Mhm.
out of everybody at this point, because nobody had really come into their own yet. Some familiar faces, but Drew Barrymore is the star. She is
Right.
on the poster. She is the closest face you see on the poster. She is the leading name in the movie.
Mhm.
And she got it 10 minutes into the movie. That was
Yeah.
unheard of.
Yeah, definitely unheard of, and I think, I think when that happened, man, that kinda I don't know, man, it was weird, man, because, the trailers and everything, I think it just featured Drew Barrymore,
It
right?
just
So
featured Drew Barrymore.
you
Like,
would go to the movie
it was the
you
selling
would
point.
you would go to the movie expecting her to actually be there
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entire film and to have her, basically get whacked,
They pulled the
early
fast
on. You're
little.
like, "Well, who else is in the movie now?"
Right.
But like you said at the beginning with the cast, man, there's a lot of other good actors in there that you didn't see in the trailer. So you're like, "Oh, wait, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard's in here,
Yeah. But
Rose McGowan in
these
there."
are a lot of their
But
first roles kind of thing. Like,
yeah, first roles, man. So it was just like, or maybe they, of course they did it on purpose,
of
like, oh
course.
yeah, Drew Barrymore,
That
she's
was the
been around
shock though.
forever. She's on ET or whatever. Like, hey,
Yeah.
let's feature her to draw the crowd in, and then get rid of her and put all these new people in and see what they can do,
Bro.
man. So it was kind of genius in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Again, like the only other time that had been done was Psycho. Janet Leigh, who was the biggest star at the time, got it in the first 10 minutes. Unheard of. So
Yeah.
this was definitely an homage to Wes Craven. Played a lot of him, and the writer paid a lot of homage to horror movies that came before.
Yeah.
No one saw the biggest star getting it early, and
Mhm.
it just is what it is, right? So we have that. So now it's established. While her parents are in the house looking for her, the house is kind of smoky because of the popcorn she was popping. They know something has happened, and then the dad hits the mother with a classic line: "Go to the Wilcox house." I believe that's what it was. Blah blah blah. Call the cops. In the research that I did, that is the line for line, same line from Halloween that Jamie Lee Curtis tells the kids: "Go
Oh,
to the
wow.
Wilcox." Easter eggs all over. He's paying homage big time. But
Oh,
so the
wow,
mom
yeah.
picks up the phone, and there's no dial tone because Casey has the phone on still, and she can hear her breathing.
Oh man. Oh wow, man.
Terrifying, right?
Yeah,
Opens the door. Casey's like gutted hanging from a tree. bro, we are off to the races. This is before Scream even pops up on the screen.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That kind of just when I saw that, man, I was just like, man, I kind of remember myself asking myself the same thing at the beginning. I'm like, well, not the beginning, but when I first saw it as a kid, rewatching it now, and I saw that scene, I was like, well, man, I mean, is this movie really only going to be like 20 minutes? Because like if all this is happening now, like what's going to happen throughout the rest of the movie,
Right.
man? And that's, I guess that's what I love about Scream, is that it's just so busy, man. Everything's going on. Just lots happening, man. Lots of blood, lots of everything, man. Which is right up my alley, man. You know, man. If I'm gonna watch a movie, if I'm gonna watch a horror movie, man, hey, make it. Hey, I want to see all that stuff, man.
Exactly.
So bring it on, man.
Exactly. So then from there, now we're getting to character development, right? Because that gave you a little bit of plot development, a little bit, but then now the very next scene we meet Sydney. Sydney, it's all set up. She's in her pajamas, like she's hair in a ponytail on a computer. Her room is very flowery, very bright, and it's giving the first vibe that I got from meeting Sydney was a very good student, very good daughter. Like they gave her like this classic, good girl off the break. Very, a lot of white, a lot of flowers. Like it just gave you that feel. And she's doing her homework or whatever. And then we meet Billy. Billy hops through her window. Billy's the boyfriend, Billy Loomis, hops through the window, and then they start engaging. So you can tell Billy's kind of the bad guy, just the way he's dressed, got his hair slicked back, white t-shirt, jeans. He's already you could tell he's like kind of the bad guy because he comes through the back window. He's not ringing the doorbell to ask, can he come in? He's sneaking through the back window.
Right.
Exactly. So then they're talking and is trying to, engage with her to, be intimate, have a little, kiss and romance, whatever. She's not into it. And then he hits her with the line, you've changed a little, I know why you've changed, but that's the first sign of, okay, there's something going on with Sydney. Right. Then we meet Sydney's dad. Dad tried to come to the door because he hears Sydney yell. He can't get to the door because she has another door within her bedroom. It's like a bathroom door, and it blocks the main door from opening. So he doesn't see that Billy's in the house. And I only bring the dad up because one, you got to know this. The main line the dad tells Sydney is, I'm tired. I'm about to go get some rest because I got the early flight in the morning for the conference. So that sets up the dad is leaving. Right? Yeah. Very, very important detail. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and at this point, again, the movie's just starting. So I don't think there's anything else that came out of that scene that was important that I may have missed. You think anything?
I think out of that scene, yeah, I think you pretty much covered it all. Like you said at first, the way she's dressed, where her room's laid out, kind of gives you one feel for it, but then you kind of learn, maybe she has like some trauma going on. Yep. So yeah, I think I think you covered it all.
Yep. So then now we're at school the very next day, and there's reporters everywhere, and then this is when everybody learns that Casey and her boyfriend were killed. Casey and Steve were killed the night before, and this is again, it feels like it's a big thing, obviously, because there's news reporters everywhere, blah blah blah. And then we meet for the first time. Now we meet Gail. Gail is the reporter. Yeah. And she's trying to engage with Sydney. Sydney's not having none of that. Anyways, we go to the school and we realize, Sydney knew Casey. They shared a class together. All this and all that. And then so we're in class, trying to hit on maybe some of the key points that are going to matter. And then we meet Dewey. Dewey is, we realize that Sydney's best friend is Tatum. And Tatum and Dewey are brother and sister. Mm-hmm. Dewey's the cop, Tatum's the student. Sydney gets called down because they're at this point interviewing suspects or just trying to figure out if people knew Casey and Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And then so this part is what's important is because Sydney's being interviewed by the police officers, and before she comes in, they're like, Sydney Prescott's coming. She's the daughter of Maureen Prescott. The one, and then Sydney walks in and they stop. So now there's something that's going on with Sydney and Maureen Prescott. You still don't know yet.
Right.
And I think that's all the kind of guy. Then you meet the cast of characters you're gonna have. You meet Stu. Stu is Tatum's boyfriend, kind of goofy, just airheaded kind of thing, played by Matthew Lillard. Played a great role. Randy is the sidekick friend. He doesn't have a girlfriend, but he's around. And Randy is the movie expert. We come to realize, he's the guy with the knowledge that's going to help you survive these situations. He even works at the video store. But then what happens is there's a very interesting scene. Do you remember the scene where they're in like the courtyard talking?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about the murders, and then Tatum hits because they're all at this point they're trying to establish who could do such a thing, and they all spill little tidbits about each other that may become clues later on or whatever, maybe not. But Tatum hits Stu with the question like, "Didn't you used to date Casey back in the day?" He's like, "Yeah, but she dumped me. She dumped me for Steve, whatever. But I got you now," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes this whole. It's an important conversation because one is giving you character development. It now at least links you, Stu, to Casey.
Right.
Because they dated.
Yep. And I think, Tatum and Stu, man, like I think in any other movie, man, they probably wouldn't even be that important, man. But I think in this movie, man, they kind of prove their worth, so to speak, especially as, the movie later goes on. And
yeah,
I think that role was definitely key, for those, to kind of like further develop and kind of make it make sense, so to speak, for their roles. Like, they're not just anyone, but I think in other horror movies, man, you really don't have that many characters normally, man. So you focus around like 2 or 3 people, and that's like the whole movie.
Right.
But this one, you can have multiple people come in, man, and they're all like kind of part of the big picture.
Right. And they did a good job giving you a whole profile of suspects, because even to the point where there's a scene where you see Boots.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to pay attention to Boots. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where the principal has the biggest pair of scissors I've ever seen in my life at his desk. he threatens them like, "What kind of scissors are those? Those look like bushwhacking scissors."
Yeah, man.
But he has those. But in it's just giving you a list of suspects or whatever, or things that make you look at other people like, But anyways, okay, so with Sydney's dad being out of town, we get the invite of Tatum saying, "You know what? Won't you? I know you don't want to be in the house by yourself, especially with all this going on. Won't you come? I'll come pick you up after work, and you can come chill at my house. You can come stay with me while your dad's out." Okay, boom. And it's that classic. They get out of school. Typical high schools get out at 2:00, maybe 2:30. Yeah. It's still daytime. Sydney goes home. After she gets off the phone with Tatum, she lays down, and you see, there's this news coverage about Maureen Prescott. This is where you learn Maureen Prescott was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So that's significant. But she goes to take a nap, wait for Tatum to get off, and it's like pitch black when she wakes up. How long did she sleep?
Hey, man, I don't know, man. I think it takes place in California, so maybe I don't know. Maybe maybe this is in the wintertime, man, and it just got dark at like who knows, man. But exactly. It was pitch black, so maybe it wasn't the summertime, even though it was probably warm out there in California at that time period. Who knows?
So then Sydney awakens to Tatum. "I'm on my way. I'm sorry." Then the phone rings. She gets the voice. She gets the call from the voice, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, like, we don't have still an established lead character yet. We know some of this stuff is revolved around Sydney thus far with, with the kind of like hiding of the story of the mom until now, the reveal of the mom. She was the first character we saw post murder scene, opening scene. So I don't know. I mean, I was shocked with Drew Barrymore, so I don't know if Sydney is the lead character now, but she gets the call, and she seems a little bit more like she's not bothered by the call because she thinks it's a prank, and she realizes it's not a prank. She's still feeding into it, like, well, where are you? I don't see you. Can you see me? To the point where she's digging up her nose, right? She's playing around with this guy. She thinks it's a joke.
Yep.
Well, it's only a joke until he popped out from one of the closet doors. Yep, right. Then you had the classic chase up the steps scene, and to the point where she jams her doors, but the classic call 911 from the computer. And then what happens after that? Well, Billy pops in the window. Again, I heard you scream. But what falls out of his pocket? A cell phone. So, we have now, there's motive around Billy.
Yeah.
Right? Very random pop-up. Cell phone falls out. And what does she do immediately? She runs from him. Forget the fact that you would jam the door because there's a killer in your house. Billy scares you enough now to where you leave out of your room to go downstairs out the front door to Dewey holding a mask, which is scared the shit out of everybody. Hit that
yeah, man. So, yeah, man, that scene was definitely one that got me, man. I was like, oh man, just rewatching it, man. Like a lot of things started to come back to me, man. But that one was a good one, man. I think it was one of those things that helped lead you one way when you thought it was going another way, and it just kind of leads into the whole who's behind this. If it's not this person, is
exactly.
It him?
And mind you, the setup is still there because we go to now we're at the jail. Billy's in jail now, right? He has an alibi for the night before. Sydney's in disbelief. Sydney still is a little leery of Billy. She still thinks it's him. Billy's in jail. But anyway, Sydney leaves out, goes to Tatum's house. What happens at Tatum's house? Oh, Sydney got a phone call. She gets a call while she's at Tatum's. Wow.
Oh,
so
man. Yeah, that was wild, man.
And now I'm thinking, so for someone to know that Sydney's there, it has to be somebody that's privy to knowledge, right? Because these are little small things.
It's got to be, somebody in that circle, man. It's got to be, man.
It has to be. Woodsboro seems to be a small town, right? Anyway,
right.
so
yeah.
So this we could skip around a little bit because this now everything has kind of been set up, right? You got a little reason to kind of believe it could be anybody. Now we're next day back at school. Sydney's gotten a call, and to the point where everybody's having fun with this. There's people running around in the school with the costumes on, and it's just it's a mess. It's becoming a mess. Well, Sydney runs around the corner, classic jump scene. She runs right into Billy. Now, there's a couple weird things about her running into Billy because he clearly just came there out of jail because he still have fingerprint ink on his hands, the same dirty white shirt from the night before. Like, who the hell gets out of jail and goes straight to school?
Yeah, man.
But whatever.
90s, man. It's just like, it's a perfect scary movie, man, but it's still very 90s, man, and some of the things, but it definitely just makes you think about it even more. You're like, well, hey, man, he's going straight to school after he gets out.
Things I think about after the fact, right?
Yeah.
But at this point, Billy has an alibi. Sydney got a phone call while Billy was in jail, kind of clearing Billy that we know it's not him because he's in jail, and somebody called Sydney that night. Well, okay, whatever. But then there's so let's jump to the bathroom scene. So again, more character development because you hear Sydney overhears two girls in the stalls talking about her mom, how much of a whore her mom was, right? That's pretty bad, right? This is
Yeah.
bad. How would you like really? But she kept her quiet. She, she was probably more hurt and embarrassed to hear that conversation. But then she has the showdown, like literally, like she hears the echoes of Sydney while she's in there, and she looks under the stalls, and this is when you see the boots drop and the drape drop, and I remember seeing that for the first time and feeling like my heart pump out my chest. That scene right, that part, just the subtleness of two boots coming down off of the commode, and you seeing the drape just coming down the cover, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's about to get real, man.
It's about to get didn't so, but she is, this killer isn't all that because this is the second time they've had this showdown, and she's ended up like kind of getting the upper hand, and she got out the bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is now I watched it today, which is weird. Why didn't she yell? Help the guys in the back. Like we can solve this right here, right now. He's in the bathroom. He's not going anywhere. Let's get it over with. Whatever.
Okay. I mean, hey, it wouldn't be a horror movie, man, if it wouldn't have
it didn't make sense.
Somebody making a wrong decision somewhere, man. But yeah, it was. I mean, hey, why not? Why not showdown right there?
At this point, do you at this point in watching, do you remember if you had a main suspect, or did you know kind of where it was going? Or
man, I was still all over the place, man. I didn't really have anyone in mind, but like, yo, it's definitely this person, or if it's that person. Mm-hmm. At that point, I was just seeing where it can go from there, man. I know, like, watching it as a kid, man. Honestly, man, I thought a lot of horror movies were funny instead of scary. Like, I don't know, man. I had a weird sense of sense of humor, man. But Scream was one of them, man. It always used to have me cracking up, man. And I mean, this was, but by this point in the movie, man, I still had no clue, man. I thought it could be anybody at this point, man.
Yeah, same here. So then there's an important conversation with Gail because, Gail is saying that, the guy that Sydney pointed out for her mother's murder, Cotton Weary, is up for appeal. He's saying that, he's remaining, the same, that he didn't do it. And Sydney is starting to have doubts because a lot of this stuff is linked because, I mean, what comes into play is like, this is happening a day or two right before the anniversary of her mom's death, which was huge in Woodsboro.
Right.
So you got a guy that's on death row or in jail because Sydney pointed him out, but Gail also makes a point like, you thought you saw him, but what if you didn't? What if it was somebody else setting him up? Anyways, okay. And by the way, at this point, they've established the fact that they cannot find Sydney's father, who's supposed to be out of town. Okay.
Right.
Then the big thing happens, which never happens in movies. School is out till further notice. We're shutting down school because this is all too much. Everybody go home. Curfew's in effect for the town. Nobody go out and do anything. So what do? They throw a party. Stu is like, party at my house. Everybody's invited except Billy because he's a little weird, and Sydney doesn't like Billy right now, or they kind of beefing. So I don't want any of that to come into play at my party. Like, really, to the point where Dewey drove Sydney and Tatum to this party. He goes in, sees minors drinking. He's like, have a good time. What?
Certain thoughts are running through my head, when we saw this, man. But I was like, okay, man. All right, maybe it makes sense, to some people,
movie
man.
Entertainment. This is movie
like,
entertainment.
Hey, man, I was like, hey, do your thing, man. But definitely the wrong decision to make, man. When you got a killer on the loose, You don't know who it is.
Yeah, you're gonna have a
What's up,
party
a
full of
party?
hundreds
You
of
know?
people. The whole school for this party. Wow.
Yeah, man.
So but now we know this is the showdown. Like this is where if anything's gonna happen, it's gonna happen here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
Yep.
know, there have been some other kind of character establishments along the way where they come to play like this, you know, he could be a suspect, he could be a sus, she could be a sus, whatever. So now we're at this party. Gail set up outside with the she sets the camera up inside the party. It's got a 30-second delay. That comes into play at some point. But yeah. Then they've also established that the phone calls are coming from Sydney's dad's father's phone. Interesting stuff. But that's a lot of information and a lot of stuff pointing to one person where you're like, well, it can't be Sydney's father, can it? That's a lot. We know the most about Sydney's dad right now. He didn't show up to the conference. It's his phone. No one can find him. And a lot of killings are happening. And it's the anniversary of his wife's death. Like, did he go crazy? Like, whatever. So, you know, we're at this party. Billy, of course, what happens? Billy shows up. Billy's at this party. And at this party too, we had the showdown with Tatum and the killer. Tatum goes down to get the beer. And while she's in the garage, she gets approached. And what I realized from these scenes where the killer is like one-on-one with these people, they can't fight for anything because Tatum starts to get the best of this killer. Like she to the point where like she threw glass bottles at this person and, you know, bust them all up. This person always ends up on the ground. And then it happens. The classic blonde movie and a horror movie. She tries to go through the cat door, which is that's attached to the garage door opener, and she ends up getting the classic horror movie send off too, right? Whatever, outlandish death. Yep. So there's a few more like good like jump scenes, but let's get to the meat of this party. Billy's there. Billy wants to talk to Sydney. You know, at this point, you know it's not me. I was in jail. All this stuff is still happening. I'm here to protect you, but we need to clear the elephant in the room. Do you trust me? Kind of thing. Stu is having a good time. Stu doesn't even realize that Tatum is missing at this point. Randy's there. You know, we have all the friends. Everybody that's in that circle is there, except Tatum, because Tatum is gone. But everybody's there that's in that circle. And so from there, we realize what happens at that's what happens. They get the call that the principal's dead. Everybody leaves. So now we're really here. It somehow, that's what it was. So Billy and Sydney, you know what ends up happening with them upstairs in the bedroom? Well, Sydney finally realizes she trusts Billy. And so they sleep together. Classic horror movie kind of thing right there. They end up sleeping together. And they have a conversation afterwards. She asks him the most random question. Who did you call? Why does that matter right now? Who did you call when you were in jail? Who was your one call? Well, hell, I called my dad. No, you didn't. The sheriff called your dad. So I called, no one answered. Interesting. So then there's a little bit of doubt in the room now, too. Like, you know, is Billy lying? Well, what happens next? You hear Sydney say, oh, my God. And then the scene opens up and you see the killer in the room. And he stabs, he slices Billy. Slices wide open.
Yep, that's it.
Wide open. And mind you, after Tatum got it, the crazy part about that was the killer opened up the door to go back to the house in the costume, wiped the knife off, and shut the door and went back to the party. So now you know, I mean, the person's in there. So, okay. At this point, do we want to, I think there's one more little piece to tell before we get to the spoiler alert. So Sydney ends up out of the house. There's a classic chase scene because, that's the killer kills Billy. Sydney runs off. The chase scene happens. And it's funny for her. I mean, you know what? Since mind you, the party's at Stu's house, she knows a lot about how to get around Stu's house. Anyway, so she got out the house, running around, blah blah blah, and then there's like a good kind of like not bone chilling, but a chilling kind of scene where Sydney's in the cop car. The killer has the keys, but she's in the car, like, and you see like he's trying to open the door, but you don't know where he is. Then all of a sudden, you see the kind of back door start to creep up. Anyways, she goes back to the house, and all of a sudden, you hear Randy and you hear Stu coming out of nowhere outside, finger pointing each other as the killer. Stu did it. I saw him do it. No, Randy did it. I saw him do it. Okay, so we're gonna take a pause right here, real quick.
Right.
So we're about to really get into the spoiler situation because there's not much of the movie left.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot that we didn't say, but this right here, we're gonna take a quick pause, give you a second to hit pause, go watch the movie, come back with the knowledge of knowing who the killer is, and finishing this review. All right, you got about 5 seconds before we dive right in. All right, here we go. Now we're off. So Sydney and Randy and Stu are running fast to Sydney, pinpointing each other. And I remember in the theater, like, oh shit, like which one is it? Like these are the only survivors. And what does she do? She shuts the door and locks it. As she has the Dewey's gun in her hand. I'm thinking, this is Stu's house. You're not going to be able to lock Stu out of his house that easily, right? Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, man. But I mean, it's just like, like you said, running out of possible killers, man. So something's got to give, right?
Exactly. And what gave was Billy's legs when he fell on the steps, because Billy's still alive, shockingly. With
I thought he was done, man. But
all jabbed up and blood everywhere.
Yeah, man.
He falls down the steps. Sydney goes to him, and at this point, like Sydney's like all over because he's alive. She's scared. What does she do? She gives him the gun. I'm still keeping the gun, Sydney. I'm sorry. I'm still keeping it.
Yeah, man.
But she gave Billy the gun, and Randy comes in the house. Randy's like, yo, dude has gone crazy. He's gone mad. And Billy, and then the reveal happens. Billy goes, we all go mad sometimes. And he shoots Randy. And we're like, why the hell did he do that? Maybe Randy was the killer. And then Billy goes, he starts licking the blood like corn syrup. We're like, oh shit, what? He did get stabbed with his back to Sydney.
Yep.
And Sydney's like, what? And then you just see the twist in his eyes, his whole demeanor, like that whole thing just comes into play. Wow. Then what happens? Goes around the corner.
Yeah.
Runs right into Stu for help. Stu pulls out the voice changer as like surprise. And that was the biggest reveal ever to me in a horror movie.
Yeah.
2 killers. That's what blew my mind about Scream. I think that's why it's still to this day. Scream is one of the better horror movies I've seen because no one saw 2 coming.
Yeah, definitely, man. No one saw 2 coming, man, and it definitely kind of solidified its position, man, as one of the better horror movies, man. So
yeah,
man, and that's like I said, man, like from start to finish, man, it was just like it just kept me in it, man. Because no one expected the main character, who we thought was going to be the main character, to die within the first few minutes. No one expected 2 killers at that time. So I was like, wow, man, like this is a first, or at least a first in a while that anything like this has happened, man. So it's
And I think from once the big reveal happens, so let's just talk motive. Billy's motive was his Sydney's mom was sleeping with his dad. His mom abandoned him, and he has mommy issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stu doesn't really have one. He's just a follower. Some
Yeah.
peer pressure. But I think once the reveal happened, like the movie became comedy after that to me, because there's the whole standoff of setup of the scene of them trying to finish out their plot, and they start stabbing each other, to make it look like, oh, then by the way, they pull Sydney's dad out of the closet. They had Sydney's dad stored away. They admitted to killing her mom a year before, and then it just becomes like this whole Matthew Litter is comedy anyway, and just that whole scene happens.
Right.
And Sydney and her dad end up getting away, not getting away, they hide, and so then it becomes the opposite chase. Sydney calls them. But what I didn't understand was when Billy goes to look in the closet and he finds Sydney to come out, she was wearing the costume. Who cares? Why is she wearing the costume? Yeah. So
certain things, man. Any horror movie, man, certain things happen, man. I'll just never be able to understand what
it was written in there for a reason. They wanted it to
process was, man. Maybe something to come down. Who knows, man? Some Easter egg to come out of nowhere about that later on, man.
It was meant to happen. They whatever. So then the showdown happens. Sydney ends up being the one that finishes both of them off. Mm-hmm. She's the strong character. She's the lone survivor.
Yeah.
No real, surprise ending besides the reveal. But yeah, so let's dive into the couple questions I got, and then we can get up out of here. Classic. Is this a classic?
I think it is a classic, man. The fact that there were 500-600 other movies that come after that, man, it kind of shows like, that was a instant classic, so OG, it's kind of the movie. I mean, it spun, not really spin-offs, but I mean, it spun parodies of it and everything and other movies.
Scary Movie.
So yeah, you wouldn't make parodies about a movie if it wasn't great, so I think it's a classic.
How many rings you giving it?
I mean, I'm gonna give it 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, it's been a while since I watched it. I didn't really have a reason to really watch it besides the fact that, hey, there is a new one coming out, so I did want to kind of like brush up on the original one. I didn't watch the rest of them, after that, but I at least wanted to watch this one, just to get that, to reestablish like that baseline, for the whole, series, of scary movies. But yeah, man, I give it 4 stars. I mean, I think the score was really great of the movie, man. They just they placed the sound and just like the vocals and stuff. They were all like in the right spot, man, at the right time, man. Yeah. I think that also made the movie, and it probably kind of goes under the rug. People really pay attention to that, but I think the score
has a lot to do with a lot of those jump scenes and just your
feel. Yeah, exactly, man. So
feel, So I'm gonna go ahead. Yes, it's a classic. Mm-hmm. It's a classic to me. I'm a horror buff. This one, after all these years, this one stands out. Obvious 5 rings for me. I remember that when we came home that night, and my boys that I'm with, they were neighbors. They lived next door to each other, and you can see my house from there. It was a really short walk, but I ended up having to walk up to my house by myself. I was trembling. I was scared as hell, because there's a street light from my house, but it was also dark around the corners of my house, and I was like, oh my god, like, just my mind was there. Anyways, but yeah, like I said, the score is important. A couple Easter eggs before we get out of here. So in the opening scene with Casey, she's leaning. There's a point where she's leaning by the TV hiding, and she had already talked Michael Myers. The Michael Myers piano keys played for a couple seconds in that scene.
Oh wow!
Yeah. There's a couple things that I looked up. Linda
I'm gonna
Blair.
look into that one, man.
Huh?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Linda
that's cool.
Blair,
Yeah.
who Exorcist. She made a cameo. She was one of the reporters in the movie.
Mhm.
Again, Wes Craven paid homage to all these guys. Another huge Wes Craven franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a scene, the principal is getting ready to get it good, and he goes out to investigate a sound, and the janitor's out there, and he's like, "Oh, it's just you, Fred." And it's a janitor wearing a hat and a green and red
Oh,
striped
man.
sweater,
Yep.
paying homage to Freddy Krueger. So tons of things that they threw in there. Yeah, check it out. There's Scream 1996. It's the original. It's classic. I think the only other, there's only been other 2 movies with reveals like that got me horror based wise. Sixth Sense, which I figured out before the ending. I was like, the twist has got to be this, and it was. And then Saw, the original Saw was huge for knowing like the endings were crazy, right? The first Saw, that ending took me all the way out. I was like, wow, didn't see it coming. So yeah,
Yeah.
Scream is one of those ones that has that kind of ending or big reveals. But yeah, look, appreciate everybody for watching Smoque and Spiel with us. I forgot to do this the last episode. I'm gonna do it now, where you can catch all of the We Are Something Else stuff at now. Look, we are in. If you don't have AMP Radio yet, download AMP. We put we always post the links on our IG pages. But yeah, I'm gonna go through the rundown real quick. On Mondays, we have Be Easy. My man Be Easy has Music Mondays on AMP Radio, 8 p.m. all Eastern Standard Time. Tuesdays, We Are Something Else presents Live from the Cheap Seats with my man CB and E Rich. It's a sports show. It's about an hour, and then at 9, that's at 8. At 9, followed by that is one of my boys, R Moneybags. He has Positive Vibes Only Radio. It goes on at 9. Wednesday, shout out to my boys from the Hot Seat Podcast. They do, my man Sean Xavier does Over the Hump at 5 p.m. on AMP. That night, my man E Rich 930 does It's Not Me, It's the Music. Thursday night, so We Are Something Else podcast live on YouTube, WRSC Podcast, 930. We live. Talk all kinds of stuff. And then Fridays, you can catch me on AMP Radio at 12 with The Abstract. We Are Something Else presents The Abstract. But yeah, all good music, all good stuff on the pods. My man Big Mike right here. And Smoke and Spiel is back every other Tuesday, 10:30 premiere. Check us out. And then we got a couple good things in the bag for the next episode. But,
yeah, definitely looking forward to it, man. So hey, man, until next time.
All right, everybody.
All right,
Peace.
All right, peace.